an interesting story. The story that could finally bring down the incredible win streak we've lately seen from Mick Claridge. The story being that Suzuka, the track we're gonna race here today, does not suit the style of the Ridge, as his setups tailor more towards hard acceleration zones out of slow corners. Will this finally be the break Michel Dudignon or the others needed to get themselves atop the high step after 3 weeks of being nowhere near a chance like that? Find out now as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Grand Prix Legends Series live here on the global SimRacing channel via the iRacing eSports network. The crew to give you all these stats and storylines today will be Johan Vanderbilt, joining myself, Stefan Schlacher. Turning the knobs and pushing the buttons behind the scenes is our director Sean Rex Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great WB. An extremely versatile track layout that can only be used for anything, and pretty much anything uses it as well, such as Super GT, Formula 1, WTCR, the D1 Grand Prix, and the All Japan Road Race Championship. So it's no wonder that Joe P can now tell you about the rich history in our GSRC tracker.
Alright, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Suzuka. Coming down to turn 1, it's going to be very difficult to come in here too wide, so passes are likely to finish before the first apex. That of course dumps you into the hairpin of turn 2. Try to square off the exit and keep enough control to get the car off to the right quickly. Now we enter the S's. These bends are difficult even in a high downforce car, but you chuck the 49 among them and it's an exercise in throttle control and patience. Try not to get too greedy on each corner because you'll want to stay set up for each subsequent apex. This final right-hander is especially deceptive with the way the radius tightens at the end. Once you reach the last left-hand corner, ease onto the throttle and try not to understeer wide off of Dunlop. With the way this bleeds into the braking zone of Degner 1, it'll be important to be able to bring the car off to the left. Hit the binders and try to just clip that inside curb. Then give it a squirt of gas and slow it up for Degner 2. Use the banking here to keep your momentum up and try to keep confidence in that right foot as you exit the corner. Next up is the very tricky braking for the hairpin. The car really wants to get sideways as you downshift, but if you're brave, you can take it in here pretty hot. Like any other hairpin, try to late apex this sucker, but just as you start to get on the power, the long gentle curve of 12 will once again test your throttle control. You can't quite keep it flat out, and like many other corners on this track, you've got to hold to the inside as you exit to set up for the next one. This brings us to Spoon, which is taken as 2 apexes. Let the car drift out after the first one, and then try your best not to turn in too early for the second. The exit here is the all-important thing. The longest straight on the track, climbing up a relatively steep hill, will make momentum and a good launch critical to your lap time. As you let the car drift off to the right, try to spot your brake marker and throw out the anchor. This is not a modern F1 car, and you must slow down for this kink. Quickly bring the car across the track, and then you've got what will probably be a popular passing spot in the Casio Triangle. The scary part will be not knowing whether the car ahead will defend until it's pretty late because of the natural racing line. You can take a lot of curb here, but bleed onto the power off the exit until you're sure it'll grip. Drift off to the outside, keep your foot to the floor down the pit straight, and if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Suzuka.
And that was Joe Peak taking us for a lap around Suzuka. But to be honest, Suzuka doesn't really need an introduction for most Formula 1 fans, because this 5.8 kilometer track has been used almost continuously since its redesign back in 1987. And during that time it has seen some truly amazing races, but mind you, these feats were in modern Formula 1 cars and not in a classic Lotus 49, because what Mick said last week rings true, Stefan. If you're looking for hard acceleration zones out of slow corners, don't come to Suzuka. This track will truly challenge the drivers, offering an array of fast sweeping corners like the S's and the world famous 130R. But to add to the challenge, the straights of this Japanese track aren't exactly straight, because apart from the start-finish section, they all feature a slight curve, which means that the drivers are continuously on the line between accelerating and keeping the car under control. So if there's one track that can stop Claridge's win streak, it's probably gonna be Suzuka.
Most definitely is gonna set up for a very interesting race. We know that Claridge most definitely put in the work, so Gonna be interesting to see what he can do here today. Looking now at the F1 Drivers' Championship, we have a very interesting development. First of all, the first drop week is already accounted for. That means Michel Dudenow has now overtaken Rob Olenek for that first place, 185 points behind, or he has right now to his tally. And Rob Olenek, 21 points behind. He forgot to register for this here race. That means a 0-point race will be counted for him, and that is from Donington Park, where he only finished in 26th. Over Trengred right now in third place with Mikus in fourth. That's our former championship leader. And there we have the Rich. That's Mick Claridge there in fifth place, 35 points behind. Watch out for him because he's going to climb that ladder very quickly once the second drop week is counted for. But, Johan, we also have the F2 Championship, and I'm pretty sure it's very close down there as well.
Yeah, it's arguably been more exciting with Eric Leukel, the German driver, on top in that Formula 2 championship. He scored 66 races so far 66 points so far this season, and he's leading David Rossi with that. He's sitting in P2. It's a close battle for that second position with Andrew Eng not far behind in P3. Behind them, trying to get close to the podium position, are Robert Plumley and Alessandro Parighi. They are sitting in the top 5.
Last but not least, as always, we have the Nations Cup on our tally as well, just like they used to run back in the days. The United States of America right now, they're in first place with 204 points for them. And then it's really close in behind for all the other positions. So even though that championship will be quite nicely fought out there. Speaking about fighting out quite closely, how are we looking for the race details, Johan?
Yeah, well, for the viewers that usually frequent this Lotus 49 Championship, it's of course round 6 of our 12-round championship. The race today at Suzuka will feature 17 laps, and as usual, they are open setups. The drivers have to keep in mind that they don't go too many times off the track. If they net 17 incidents, they will get a penalty. 25 incidents will mean a disqualification.
Yeah, so it's gonna be very interesting, and we might have a few drivers that will look out for those off tracks, because it is rather easy at some points to take on those 01Xs here at the Suzuka International Racing Course. Now, as always, a quick reminder, you're watching this broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network. To see more of these shows and more exciting racing, don't forget to like and especially subscribe if you haven't done yet. You will find that out because that button right below this broadcast will still be extremely bright red. And Johan, in a qualifying right now that is going on in the background, we have Mick Claridge somehow finding his way through the Suzuka course and is about 4/10 ahead of Michel Dudenow.
Yeah, it almost seems like he was going about, but he made a mistake there in the Deckness, Miss Claridge, so he will not get an opportunity to get a second lap time. So maybe it rings true that he's not completely comfortable on this track. This means that Michel Dudenow, who's now going towards Spoon Curve, he has around 30-40 seconds left before he finishes his second qualifying lap. Michel Dudenow will have to find 0.3 of a second to get himself in front of the Brit. Behind him over Trangeray, the Norwegian has already completed both his qualifying times, so he is out of contention for a quicker time. Kane Lasky behind is still on a quick lap as well, and Bill Tyler is done as well. So right now, Stefan, we're really looking at Dudenow and Kane Lasky to see if they can improve.
And here comes the Frenchman through the Casio Triangle, takes both cups very aggressively. It's going to set him nicely up for the short run, down through the line. Gonna go all the way out, and that was a 59.059, so not fast enough to improve. Still, he sits in third place. Kane Lasky now, same for him. He's going to come through the Casio Triangle. He's still yet to complete his second lap. Let's see, also quite good through there. Also tries to take the narrow line through here, much nicer than Michel Dudenow on this run. And that was a 59.333. So is he not improving on his lap. That means he's going to sit in fourth place. That was everything to do in qualifying. That means Mick Claridge, his pole position once again has been confirmed. That's his fourth pole position in 4 weeks of racing. Michel Didino gonna line up on the outside of him going into turn 1. That should be very interesting with the long run down into that first corner. Over Trangrid, third place for him. Kane Lasky, fourth. Bill Tyler rounds out your top 5 drivers for the second, separating those 5 drivers. Nicola Kochi, 6th place for him with Peter Mikus, 4th place in the championship, only 7th on the grid. Alessandro Parisi, very interesting there, 4th place for him in the F2, so that would give him a very great boost in the championship hopes if he finishes where he's sitting right now, 8th on the grid. Marco Kika 9th and David Rossi running out top 10.
Row 6 is filled by Sebastian Tixier and Owen Martel. Antonio Rice starts the race in P13. He's followed by Thomas Thorpe. Terry Worth starts the race in 15th, followed by Dominic Bureau. Robert Plumley starts on the inside of row 9, shared the row with Michael R. Cook and Paolo Bremi and Xavier Boscos. Round out the top 20.
Telmo Amaral 21st, Eric Luke in 22nd, Ivan Deadio in 23rd, Yuri Geisen in 24th, Johan van Doorn in 25th, Andres Bruno in 26th, Paul Fred 27th, Marco Ravioli in 28th, 29th goes to Andres Chouton, who's also the last driver to put in a qualifying time. Ron Paslowski only 30th, Fabio Massani, Abraham Bates and Van Lachner running out to 34 drivers of this field here today as the engines are harmonizing. Green flag in the air. Mick Ledge, great start for him, not so great for Michel Tudor. Already under pressure from Ovid Trengrid going into turn 1. Maybe the Norwegian gets that second place away from the Frenchman. Still side by side through his apex here. And Michel Tudor confirms his second place. I really did think that Michel Tudor could do a little bit more here for Mick Ledge, but Mick Ledge, once again, his setup prevails in the start.
Yeah, and he's now very happy with where he is, Mick Claridge. He was quick in practice, he was quick in qualifying, and he's also quick at the start. And he's still edging out Dudillon behind him. It's all single file all the way to P20. It seems like a little bit of battling further down the S's between Eric Leukel and Owen Martel, but even they are single file right now as they go towards Decker.
Yeah, not surprised that through the snake everybody's single filed out there. But once we get through the hairpin, we most definitely will see some side-by-side action again. Peter Mikus right now trying to attack Bill Tyler for his 5th place, but doesn't seem like that is going to work out right now. Actually, Bill Tyler is 6th and 5th with Nicola Kochi taking over that 5th position from the American. Oh, a little bit of a mistake from Bill Tyler. Mikus gets boxed in behind, can't overtake him through the fast sweeping right-hander. As it all seems that no problems thus far. Maybe with Torp who goes wide through the spoon.
Marco Kika behind has had an off at the exit of the hairpin. It seems like his race is over and his car is crabbing, so it seems like it's over for the Finn. But further up the field, it seems like indeed most of the things are calm at the moment. And if you look at the top drivers, Stefan, it almost seems like there's a little gap forming between Nicola Kochi and Bill Tyler, between P5, P6, and also maybe between P4 and P5. Lasky and Kochi, slowly gaps are starting to form. But in the meantime, Dudillon will be putting pressure on Mick Claridge. Claridge defending the inside, going towards turn 1. Over the start-finish straight here, it's Suzuka. Dudillon around the outside. He was not in this position in lap 1. In lap 2, he tries to keep it there. Claridge starts sliding and slides back in front. Dudillon stays behind.
Slamming the door in style, the UK driver Mick Claridge sideways goes through turn 1 and somehow keeps his car that much in control that he still can keep Dudillon behind him. But most definitely after the first lap, we can already say in the race stream right now Michel Dudillon most definitely the faster driver. Let's see if that prevails as the sun still continues to be behind clouds. Mostly cloudy the sky is right now with a track temperature of 33 degrees Celsius. So most definitely a great break for these guys as they have seen quite hot weather in the last few weeks. Right now, a big break starting to form inside the top 10, but also outside the top 10, with 11th place still clinging on to the top 10, and then we're starting to see a over 1 second gap, which right now also, by the way, is one of the biggest gaps we have between 11th and 12th place. It seems like, Johan, you've picked up a P16 battle?
Yeah, nice battle between Eric Leukel and Paolo Bremer side by side actually as they approach spoon curve. Eric Leukel, the German, the leader in the Formula 2 championship, choosing the better diving out of that, but they are very close together and out of spoon curve. I know that Eric has participated in the 12-hour race here at Suzuka. He has a lot of experience here at the Japanese track and he is using that to his benefit. He goes close in a 130R corner, but he chooses not to put it side by side. Through 130R, you can just see how much more speed the German is taking with him. Paolo Bremer has to defend the inside. The Italian has the suboptimal line through the chicane here, especially here that will hurt him. He will have less good of an exit, and you can immediately see the German swinging around the outside, getting more speed, but just not able to capitalize on that. Bremer is putting the car in exactly the right spot to keep Leukel behind. He has more space, more speed. Takes a look on the inside there, keeps it on the inside behind him.
Bureau behind.
Bureau. What a slide from Bureau. He keeps it roughly in a straight line, only loses one position behind him. Who was that going through the grass? It was Ivan Viaggio.
Oh, Johan, Leukel and Brem side by side through the S's right now. Brem able to keep his car. They nearly locked ours twice through there. Great racing from them as Brem continues.
Roman Pawlowski just behind him. He is having the popcorn position, the primetime TV position of this battle between the Italian and the German in front of him. As they reach the Degner corner, you can just see how much more aggressively Leukel is attacking that corner compared to Bremer at the moment. And that gives him so much extra speed out of this section.
Ahead of them, sorry, Terry Worth lost his position to Owen Martell. That's for 14th place out of the hairpin side by side still. But there we go, Owen Martell now up to 14th place while Brem still fight for that 16th.
Let's go back to the P16 battle, because with Roman Pawlowski there, it's truly a case of the quickest driver almost being in the back of the train. Roman Pawlowski, reminds you, he didn't set a qualifying time, and really that will hurt him in the race. Through spoon, what a great exit from Pawlowski on the inside of Leukel, who can barely control his car. As they run down towards 130R on the inside, Roman Pawlowski will win that position. He nets himself P17 and will now try to put the pressure on Paolo Bremer.
Not really fast though through the 130R. Interestingly, Ron Pawlowski, look at that braking though. Closes in massively on Paolo Brem. Doesn't get side by side though, but most definitely a lot of pressure put now on Paolo Brem, because he knows that Roman behind him, big slide for Brem there, has the better brakes than his Lotus 49. Look at that side by side. That should be done. It does it once they go out of turn 2. Let's have a look. Here also comes Eric Leukel, sniffing up that opportunity to go around the outside, but he's not going to be able to do that. Big wobble on the outside from Roman Pawlowski as the sun is back out of the clouds, and there we go. Roman Pawlowski up to 16th place.
Great move from Pawlowski there, trying to make Bremer a little bit scared as they went into the chicane, and that really helped him. Now if we go back to the front of the field, it's still Claridge on top, Dudion behind, Trangrate not far, and Lesky as well. So the top 4 within 2 seconds of each other. It seems like P3 and P4, Stefan, are having a hard time keeping up the pace.
Yeah, last 2 laps ago, Peter Meekes actually was able to overtake Bill Tyler, so Meekes now in 6th place, charging down Kochi for that 5th. Lasky, I wouldn't say that he isn't keeping up right now. He's holding his own quite nicely. Last lap of 58.8. With Trangrate also pretty much putting in the same time, and the 2 guys had just a 10th faster than Lasky. So Lasky just needs to keep steady, needs to keep his pace, and I'm pretty sure that his time will come in this battle. Though right now, Dudinho most definitely a big take from him through the 130R, keeps his car together in P10. We also have a battle that's between David Rossi and Antonio Reis, the Portugal driver. Most definitely trying to take that position away, get himself inside the top 10. He has already tried a few times down into Cassie Triangle, but this time too far away to do anything into that chicane.
Yeah, and it's very curious to see how David Rossi will approach this battle. He's sitting 2nd in the Formula 2 Championship, and with Eric Leukel quite far behind him, Rossi is doing very, very good business in that Formula 2 Championship, so he might think about the championship and not battle Antonio Rice too hard. As to go towards the first corner, Antonio Rice almost seems to miss his braking point. This is the first apex completely and he's not able to launch an attack just yet.
Up in front, everything keeps close, but nothing to worry about. We're gonna jump right there when something happens. Don't you worry. So we also have a battle just ahead of them. That's between Alessandro Parisi and Sebastian Tixier for 8th place. Bill Tyler, after his struggles, after getting overtaken by Peter Mikus, able to slowly streak away from those two. Seems like Tixier not able to really close in as we're gonna go back to P13. Owen Marshall was able to take that position away through turn 1, I would guess. As over the start-finish line they were 14th and 13th, and now they're 13th and 14th. As Marshall makes a little bit of a mistake.
Yeah, it's an exciting battle this one, because it's not really only between Martin and Torp. Terry Worth behind him is almost being overtaken by Roman Pawlowski. That's the battle for P15. Roman Pawlowski is having incredible pace at the moment. He's around a second quicker than all the guys in front of him. So he's making giant leaps through the second spoon curve on the exit towards 130i. We've seen Pawlowski being very strong here versus Leukel. Right here, he also has a good exit, closing the gap down in the gearbox of the car in front. Terry Worth stays on the outside. He doesn't really defend the inside of 130i. Pawlowski doesn't want to keep it side by side there. Terry Worth gives him the space though. And Roman Pawlowski says, thank you, man. He gets the position.
Just too deep, they're a little bit too anxious about Roman Pawlowski on his inside. Goes too deep on the brakes, and that is a very nice present for Roman Pawlowski. He's not going to pass up on. Now up to 15th place for him, top 15 by the way in qualifying. He didn't count his first lap because he had an off track there, and he did crash on his second attempt, so that is why he didn't put in a lap time in qualifying. Already up to the battle for 13th now he is, as we're looking once again at the battle for first place between Mekledge, Dudillon and Ove Trengrate.
Yeah, the quickest of those three is Ove Trengrate. There's not a lot of difference between them, but last time around the Norwegian was a tenth quicker than the two drivers in front. So it seems like Ove Trengrate is able to keep up with this battle. Lasky, like I said, he's slowly falling away. Last time around 2 tenths slower than the leaders. So he kind of is hoping for some battles like we saw in the opening lap, Stefan, between Clarence and Dudillon, so he could truly mix it up with Trengrate as well. But it seems like the Frenchman is just almost content to let the Brit have it a little bit. He's just waiting his moment.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little bit surprised by how much time Colette was able to find in his setup. We have said it multiple times in the run-up to this race. Mick Colette, normally a guy that sets up his car for those slow turns, really those hard acceleration zones, and it seems like he found a way to make his car go around fast turns as well.
Absolutely. Bad lap, by the way, this lap for Dudillon. He has already lost 4 or 5 tenths of a second to Claridge. You can see that the gap has almost increased to a second. And if Dudillon keeps this kind of driving up, he will be more on the flat of Ove Trengrate behind that. He can last on attacking Claridge.
In behind P14 is hot, and Ron Pawlowski already has overtaken Thomas Torp. So the DH driver goes past another Scandinavian. Sorry, I thought he's also a DH driver, should have looked there. But no, Thomas Torp has given up that position to Ron Pawlowski. Just knew what was written on the walls. And thus, Ron Pawlowski now into 14th. The driver ahead of him, Owen Marshall, racing out of California. Let's see what he's going to do when Roman comes steaming past him. Yeah, even with the overtake Roman had to do there through, or rather into 130R, he still was a full second faster than Marshall, even is over a second actually faster than the next train ahead of him for 10th place. David Rossi right now ahead of that train, with Antonio Rees and Michael Cook pretty much getting hung up behind him. And now look at that, Ron Pawlowski most definitely gonna look a little bit of a slide there. Has to correct though, look at how much more speed he is taking through there. Owen Marshall on the outside barely keeps on to his 13th place going into Dinger.
Yeah, Ron Pawlowski is still behind though. He's putting the pressure on. He's putting the kettle on the fire. And it's almost starting to whistle there. Pawlowski on the outside now together. I think that Pawlowski can't go far though, because Cook, Rice, Rossi all in front of them are slower than the pace that Roman Pawlowski is showing at this moment.
Yeah, looking up all the times right now, everybody up to 8th place, that's Alessandro Parisi, is slower by a full second. And then Bill Tyler and upwards, so 7th upwards, is fast right now than Roman Pawlowski. But we have to say we didn't see the true pace of Pawlowski yet, because he is still stuck in traffic. So let's see what he's gonna do. Probably not gonna do anything through 130. I'm gonna set this corner up for the Casio Triangle. Both having good lines through there, not really tracking out much Roman Pawlowski, so still has room to go. There he goes on the brakes now, side by side, looking up the front brake there a little bit as well. Owen Martel for now gonna cling on to this position, but let's see how the exit is. Bad exit for Pawlowski that probably seals the deal into turn 1.
Yeah, and Thomas Torp actually isn't that far behind either. He's loving the battle of the two in front of him, because he can almost put some pressure on Pawlowski there. He will not do it in turn.
Sebastian Tixier had a problem somewhere, actually through the Casio Triangle, spun it on the brakes there, so now the train up ahead of these two guys is actually for 9th place. Let's have a look if we can find that problem. There we go, that is coming. That is actually Marco Gavioli. We're on the wrong driver there. Sebastian Tixier going through 130. I'm gonna see it just a little bit too late on the brakes, thus goes hard on it, and around she goes.
Yeah, you could have said Sebastian go straight there. He almost looked it around, and that cost him a little bit of time. He is now right in the battle with Michael Cook though, so he's still in it. And behind him, Pawlowski is still trying to put some pressure on Owen Martel. But while this battle is going on, let's go to P25, because there's a nice battle going on as well between drivers that we haven't spotted yet. Those are Alexander Abraham. He's putting the fire under Paul Ferrer. Battle for P25. Paul Ferrer hasn't been Paul Ferrer has been a little bit slower than Abraham behind him, but Abraham has been trying left. He's been trying right, and he just cannot get past yet. The Iberian is keeping the door closed, and you can see that Ferrer at the moment is driving away as he reaches the hairpin.
And P30 side by side, they crash! And that is huge! Roman Pawlowski and Owen Martel, they were side by side going in and through Spoon, and a bad exit for Owen Martel just sends him flying into Roman Pawlowski, and that is a huge crash. I don't know how badly damaged Thomas Torp is from all of that, but that sure has done quite some damage to his Lotus 49.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope the Torp can continue. Strange crash. Both Pawlowski and Martel seem to struggle on exit. Both just moved towards each other like they had magnets on the car. And once the wheels interlocked with each other, there was no stopping that crash.
Well, that most definitely puts a big holding sign up to that steamroll Roman Pawlowski had going on, as his race most definitely is done. Now we're looking at the battle for P9. By the way, Owen Martel, he was actually catching this train for a 9th place.
Sorry, Eric Leukel is getting turned around in the Casio Triangle. He loses a few positions. Oh, I'm amazed that the German actually can continue there, because he was fighting hard with Paolo Brain. And in the Casio Triangle, they got a little touch a little while ago. It seems like
it happened through the Casio Triangle, as I said. Paolo Brain was on the inside there, and it was actually, I don't know, I would actually say that was a mistake from Luco, just turning way too hard, didn't give any room or respect to Paolo Bram, and those two collided. Actually, Luco seems to also struggle with to damage, so I wouldn't be surprised if Luco has to put his car into the pit lane.
Interesting that the battle
up ahead, Johan, he's catching over train rate.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to say that Kane Lasky seems to be closing down the gap to over train rate, and that's interesting because the Norwegian was keeping it close to the Dion McLaren, but at the moment he just cannot follow, and it seems like Kane Lasky is putting the pressure on, but it seems like the elastic on this top battle between his first 4 drivers, Stefan, is just being stretched and stretched, and the gaps are increasing more and more. The smallest gap between them is indeed at half a second between Trangerate and Lasky, between Claridge and Dudion. And Dudion and Trangerate is over a second.
Yeah, in total 3.3 seconds cover these 4 guys right now. So over Trangerate starting to struggle a little bit, not 100% surprised by that. Track temperature still at 33 degrees. Wonder how much problems he's putting up to his tires with all that sliding that he is so used to.
And the best battle that we have at the moment is probably this battle between P9 and P10, David Rossi and Antonio Rice. We were thinking if David Rossi would maybe give up the position with the eye on the championship, and with the problems that Eric Loco is having, David Rossi is doing great business in the championship for the Formula 2 title. But as it stands, David Rossi just stays in front, and he keeps his car as wide as almost 2 Lotus 49s, it seems like. Because Antonio Rice seems to be the quicker one, Stefan, but he's not finding a way past.
Yeah, right now David Rossi racing with a sidecar on his Lotus 49. But yeah, I'm not surprised that Rossi is actually able to defend this position. He is quite good at defending, even though it might not seem like he's defending very much. It's quite easy to defend on this track layout. Just know how to do it. And Rossi, yeah, like you said, this 9th place would give a huge bonus to him in that championship fight we're having right now. Don't forget, round number 6, that is, after this race, we have a halfway point in this season, so David Rossi looking very strong right now.
Going to the Casio triangle, it is still just a few tenths between them. Antonio Rice still a little bit too far, but you saw the smoke there under the wheels from David Rossi, and that might give an opportunity to the car behind him. Putting his driver out of the triangle over the start-finish straight, 1-2 car lengths between them, and he has more speed. And if he can keep it up, he will be able to maybe take a look on the inside of turn 1, but he just wants to show himself. He's not going to put his nose in there yet. There's only 7 more laps to go, so he has a bit more time to force that move for P9.
Yeah, I don't know if Antonio Rice would have went for that move. I think even Senna would have been proud of it. And we know how last time Senna went for a gap like that, how it ended here at Suzuka. Once again, looking at your race leader, Mick Claridge, lap number 11 we're in right now, so only 7 laps remain in this motor race here today. Mick Claridge still leading ahead of Michel Dudinot, about 1/10 between those two, with over Trangerate already 1.8 seconds behind, dropping off alongside with Kane Lasky.
And last time around, Dudion is actually picking up the pace a little bit. He was 4/10 of a second quicker than Mick Claridge. You can see on the left in the ticker that the gap between the 2 drivers is once again under a second. So we saw some different weather conditions. Dudion almost losing it there. I don't know why he turned in on the grass there, but it almost meant that the Frenchman must start again. A big flight to the Casio triangle. We go to the replay, and you can see it there on board with Dudion. Now look at his right wheel tires. They will touch the grass as he turns in. Then he starts to slide over the curb stone on the inside. What a save from the Frenchman. But stay on board, because once he tries to get it slowed down from the Casio triangle, almost again he loses it. But he keeps it in a straight line. So I wanted to say that he was closing down the gap to Mick Claridge. Well, the gap has increased once again to 1.3 seconds. But we cannot fault the Frenchman for trying, though, because you can see visibly that he's giving it his all.
Yeah, Michel Dudinot driving through the rally line there, just taking a little bit of grass to turn in, as we're going to look back to another battle that is still the battle for 9th place, as David Rossi did give up the position right here. Does he have a slowdown, as also Michael Cook goes past into turn 1?
I would almost say that he has a slowdown, because 2 positions lost in the straight. That's not really something that happens normally there. David Rossi relegated 2 positions, also struggling there with the first of the S's clumping the curb, so it's very hard. I think that he indeed had a penalty there, but that means that he loses 2 positions, is now outside of the top 10. I'm curious though how quick Cook is, and if Cook can actually increase the gap that he has now to David Rossi. Great race from Michael Cook, by the way, today. Started in P18, 8 positions up so far. Now currently on the top 10 position.
Yeah, David Rossi did cut the inside of the right-hand turn at the Casio triangle, so that is why he lost those 2 positions. Michael Cook on board right now with him looking over his left shoulder. Started in 18th place, so he did gain 8 positions up to this point. Most definitely a very great race for him thus far.
A little bit of traffic might actually play a factor in this battle. John van Doorn, P29, is a few seconds ahead of these drivers. That means that if Antonio Rice catches him in just the wrong moment, that might be the opportunity that Michael needs to really elevate himself another position to P9. David Rossi is struggling to keep up with the pace of the 2 drivers in front. Seems to be falling back a little bit.
Yeah, up in first place we also see a little bit of traffic for Mick College in the form of Mika Kika, who did drive into pit lane to get past all of these guys, and now also André Chudon is going to be traffic for Mick College as they head through the snake. Let's see what André does. Goes to the right side. Great performance by André. Now he also has to one shot for Michel Dudigneau, probably for the left-hander. The Frenchman will catch up to André. Yeah, there we go, and a little bit of a hold-up for Michel Dudigneau. He can't completely go on to racing line, but shouldn't be any time lost.
Yeah, behind them, Kane Lasky was trying to close out the gap to Over Trangerade. Now Over Trangerade is also able to just... No, he actually struggles a little bit. A miscommunication between him and Juteau. Juteau again trying to let Lasky by, but it also hurts Lasky a little bit, as he cannot get slowed down properly for the hairpin. So all these drivers just stretching out a little bit. The battle's being broken up for the podium.
Yeah, in behind for that P9 battle, Antonio Rice, he's not really getting away from Michael Cook right now, though Michael Cook was about 200th slower last lap, so not too much in between those two. It seems like Cook most definitely can go the pace of Antonio Rice, with David Rossi dropping off of those two by about 3/10 from last lap. As now also we can confirm Rowan Paslowski and Michael Kika called it a day, so that bumps up the DNF already to 5 drivers.
How about we take a look at P17, Xavier Boscus, because there's not a driver that's right in a battle, but a driver that's very close to several other drivers. He's driving around at P17 Xavier. In front of him, Paulo Bremer has just been overtaken by Eric Loico, who's currently in P15. Behind Xavier is Telmo Almiral. So there's 4 drivers in roughly the space of 3 seconds. They are not exactly nose to tail, but they're still battling quite hard for the P15 position. I think that with Eric Loico overtaking Paulo Bremer, he will be able to drive away a little bit. But Paulo, Xavier and Telmo should be close together for the next 4 laps.
Yeah, Paulo Bremer last lap, he was the second slowest of this group, with Boscus being the slowest. Telmo Moral also faster than both of them. And don't forget about Dominic Bureau behind. He is right now 2.8 seconds back, yes, but he is quite a lot faster than pretty much all of them except for Eric Loico. So maybe, just maybe, we have to watch out for that Canadian in the last 2 laps. Telmo Amaral right now the fastest, actually to 2 minute 1.8, with Boscus to 2.2 and Paulo Brem with a 3.6. So that suggests that Brem actually made a mistake that let Eric Loico past, as he put himself at 2 minute 2.1. Now you can see all of them in one shot. In the far background, that was the car of Dominic Bureau. It'll be interesting to see what this will develop.
And if we go back to the top of the field, Mick Claridge is driving away once again from Dudillon. The gap has increased by 0.7 of a second this lap alone. So Dudillon just not really optimal, not really feeling completely senang there to attack these final laps of the race. Mick Claridge going around some lap traffic. That's Paul Ferrer at the moment. Paul Ferrer actually might... he actually gives a lot of space right now to let Michel Dudillon by. Now, over Trangerade in P3, you can see on top of the ticker, he has completely lost the connection to the Frenchman, but he is being put under pressure by Lasky. Lasky is a driver that we really shouldn't count out, Stefan, because every time I'm thinking Lasky is just losing connection to Trangerade, Lasky is losing the chance to finish on the podium, he just comes back. He just keeps finding the pace to get closer over Trangerade. He doesn't, however, have the pace to really put it nose to tail and go for a move yet.
Yeah, I'm keeping half an eye on this battle, and it's rather interesting. Lasky makes a mistake, drops away, and then over Trangerade makes a big mistake, and Lasky's right back in it. So both of these drivers are most definitely struggling with what we have at hand here today. Either be it the track, the setup, or both of those factors. There we go. Together. So it's an interesting battle. I wouldn't count anyone out or in of this right now, as Trangerade once again makes a big mistake.
Yeah, you would almost call it a Scandinavian flick that he was doing through the hairpin there. A lot of smoke from the tires of the Norwegian, but he kept it in a straight line and didn't actually lose that much speed as well. If we go back, how about we go back to P16 again, between the battle between the four drivers, because I think that this actually is the best battle that we have on track so far. With Eric Leukel, Paulo Brem, Boskus and Almiral. Especially those latter two, Boskus and Almiral, those are getting very close together. Only 3 cars between them. You can see that there in the back of the screen. There's Telma Almiral, who's putting more and more pressure on Boskus there. A few car lengths between them as they go through the darkness.
Yeah, Almiral and Paulo Brem were the only two drivers in this pack here that were under the 2-minute 2-second mark. So most definitely they are right now the faster drivers, with Leukel and Boskus both putting in a 2-minute 2 seconds 0.2 lap. Paulo Brem very close to the back of Eric Leukel. Eric Leukel most definitely feeling the pressure here a little bit. But also don't forget, Leukel has some damage from his collision in the Casio triangle. So that is most definitely hurting him. Paulo Brem, big mistake into the spoon corner. Outbrakes himself, nearly runs into the back of the German driver. That is going to put a damper to his ambitions right now. Also, Almiral, a little bit of a mistake through spoon, drops him a little bit too far away from the back of Boskus for the Casio triangle. Oh, big mistake now from Paulo Brem. Goes very wide through the 130R. And Boskus not able to capitalize on that mistake, as he also was himself too far away.
The battle for P3 is still heating up, however. We're seeing those on screen at the moment. Trangerade and Lasky, they are basically nose to tail, 1-2 car lengths between them. Like we were saying, the last few laps, Lasky is just finding the pace that over Trangerade doesn't find. 0.3 of a second between these two drivers. Advantage Lasky last time around. But there's only 2 more laps to go. There's not that much more opportunity that Lasky has. And if he wants a podium position here at Suzuka, he has to put a little bit more pressure, a little bit more risk in his driving to surprise the Norwegian, because he is defending so far just enough to keep hold of P3.
Up in front though, Mick Clash is going to take the white flag in just 3 corners time. Now going into the Casio triangle for the penultimate lap here. Right, left, and then it's turn number 17 to finish it off. A very interesting corner, very hard for these guys to transition through, because the Lotus 49 doesn't like that right-hander while accelerating. There we go, white flag in the air for Mick Clash. Just about 5.8 kilometers to go.
Yeah, let's go back to the P3 battle, because if we go on board with Kane, you can just feel, you can see, you can almost smell the exhaust of over Trangerade in front there, almost nose to tail there. A little bit of left traffic as well. Marco Ravioli, P25 just in front of them, and through the S's, that actually might be a big factor, as Trangerade might be hauled up because of the Italian there. He actually stays on the outside. Good driving from Marco there, who leads these two fighting drivers by. And as they go towards the Dunlop curve, Lasky is close, but like I said, Stefan, just not close enough to actually try something. He needs to find a little bit extra, win 1 or 2 car lengths to put it side by side with Ove.
Yeah, Lasky not very strong through the snake, so once again he lost a little bit of time to the Norwegian up ahead of him. Also a little bit of sad news there coming in from Michael Cook. He had to retire his car starting the penultimate lap. So another driver that fails to finish here today. Once again, bad exit from Lasky. That probably is gonna dampen all of his chances for that last podium position here. But Miklec now going through the spoon as the clouds move over yet again. The sun here at virtual Japan out of the last time for the spoon. Still very clear of Michel Didonneau. Just a backstretch to go for him into 130R. Quite nicely through he goes. Casio triangle for the very last time in this race. The right and the left at 16 turns beautifully done. 17th coming up now. Miklec, yet again your winner here at Suzuka.
De Jong finishing behind. Claire is actually spinning hard after the race. De Jong second triangle rate on the podium. Now let's go a little bit further down to P14 between Eric Leukert and Paulo Brain, because that battle is not over yet. We actually have quite a bit of battle in front of us. Half a lap left with Brain trying to follow as they go towards Spoon Curve. Leukert, who is really profiting from the misfortune of a lot of other drivers like Roman Pawlowski, like Michael Cook. He's just gathering a lot of positions like that, and that will help him in that Formula 2 championship, because he, after all those retirements, he doesn't finish that far behind David Rossi. That will help him in that championship. Paulo Brehm out of Spoon Curve really needed a good exit here to close down the gap to Eric Leukert in front of him to try and move for that P13 position, but it seems like he's too far away to actually try. Both cars sliding through the 130R. Leukert sliding more, losing speed there. One more move for Paulo Brehm. Takes a half a look on the inside, but he's not committed enough. Leukert struggles to get it slowed down. He doesn't get a good exit now. These cars might go side by side, but it seems like Leukert gets it back in tow just in time to get it accelerated, and he comes home there in P14, 15 for Brave.
Yeah, with all of that action now being done here in the virtual Me Prefecture, we are far from done though. We're going to step aside for just a few moments to take a breather, but we will be quickly back for the post-race show where we will run you down the unofficial finishing order, talk to some of the drivers, and close off an eventful race. So don't step away too far, as GSRC will be back after these messages. welcome you all back to the Grand Prix Legends post-race show streaming to your home on the Global SimRacing channel via the iRacing eSports network. As always, first on the channel list here today is the unofficial finishing order with Mick Claridge, Mick the Rich Claridge. Once again finishing in first place with Michel Dudignon second, overturning race third, Kane Lasky fourth, Nicola Kochi, Peter Mikos, Bill Tyler, Alessandro Parisi, top 8. I'm going through that so fast because through those top 8, the only thing that really changed on the stat sheet is that Bill Tyler lost 2 positions, but that is far from the truth of all the action we have seen inside those top 8. Antonio Rees, 9th place from him. He gained 4 positions to get there, and David Rossi finishes where he started in 10th place.
Yeah, David Rossi will be happy with that, especially if we look further down the order. Sebastian Tissier P11, Thomas Thorpe in 12th, Terry Worth in 13th, and then Eric Leukel, the leader in the Formula 2 category, only coming home in 14th. After a hard battle with Paulo Brehm, 3/10 between those two drivers as they cross the finish line. Telmo Almoral comes home a second behind them, and the second behind that it's Xavier Boscus. Dominic Bureau finishes in 18th, and they are in front of Yuri Geise and Ivan Giaggio in P20.
21st went to Andres Bruno. He himself gained 5 positions to find him there. Robert Plumley, not the best race yet again for him, loses 5 positions to finish in 22nd. Alexander Abraham did finish in 23rd from 32nd, gaining himself 9 positions to finish last on the lead lap. While the rest of the finishing order is gonna run through your screens, we're gonna talk to once again Mick Claridge, who, after saying that he's not gonna win whatsoever, there's no chance in anything that he's gonna finish here. Mick, you liar!
Yeah, sorry about that, Steph. Yeah, it was. To be honest with you, it was a hell of a lot of setup work. As you know now, I'm hell bent on running these low power ramps in this car. I really think it's helping me out. And I was struggling so much all week, and then until last night. So yeah, in answer to another question, yeah, I did put about 1 million laps in this week, and I only found the setup last night. I put a load of camber in the rear of the car, and it really helped on the in the middle of the fast corners. But that was a tough race, mate. That was really, it's so hard to get on the power, with these low ramps,
Mm-hmm. Well, Mick, that you most definitely destroyed my follow-up question, but my other follow-up question is about your
So I keep doing that to you, don't I, Steph? Sorry, mate.
Your nickname. Tell us the true story. Why the Ridge?
What, the Ridge?
Yes.
Okay, well, I restore classic cars, and I was restoring a guy's car, and he's a good friend, and every time I used to turn up, he used to say, the Ridge is back, and I used to think it was like, oh yeah, like he's saying I'm cool, like I'm right on the edge, of being brilliant and all this, like, like I would. And one day I just asked him, I said, what, mate, why do you call me the Ridge? And he just said, it's the shape of your head.
Oh, that's such a great story. Awesome to hear every single time. Nick, going back to racing though, from Suzuka, we are gonna go to another very interesting race. It is going to be, if I can find it, the Silverstone 2011 historic layout. So once again, a track with not too many hard acceleration zones. So once again, a track where you probably put in about a quintillion laps.
Yeah, do you know what? I normally do quite well at Silverstone in the historic layout. I've normally had pretty good races there, regardless of whatever season, whatever the weather's doing. I'm normally up there. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not sure about the rest of the season. I can't remember what tracks are coming up, but I know there's a couple of dogs in there. What I'm not going to be very good at. Nürburgring, I think we've got later on. I don't know.
Yeah, sure is going to be interesting. Obviously, that is the last race of April there. Next up after that, we're Summit Point, Bathurst also on the layout here. Daytona 07 Oval. Interlagos. And Nürburgring Gesamtstrecke is going to be our last race of the season, I think, if I saw that correctly. So most definitely quite a variety therein. And once again, as always, the Lotus 49 loves their ovals. Guess Mick Cledge also loves his oval with the Daytona 07 oval. Sure, it's going to be very interesting to see.
Sorry,
them
Steph. Sorry about that, Steph. Yeah, I love the ovals. Sorry.
No, what I wanted to get you on there, the oval, the bumps. How is that going to transition there? Everything, because Lotus 49 normally doesn't like those bumps.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right. We did funny enough, we did a hosted race years and years ago on that layout, but it wasn't the oval; it was the road course. So as you know, you use a lot of the oval in that layout, and it was fine. So I think it'll be all right. I mean, it's not like Talladega, so it's going to be it's going to be a bit tight. I think so. So I don't know what you guys are going to be talking about in the yellow flag caution parts, but yeah, good luck.
Always can put up the Wikipedia page and just read off that. But yeah, Mick, congrats once again on your fourth race in the fourth win in the fourth race. Most definitely looking very strong for that championship.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks a lot, Steph. I'll see you next week.
That was Mick Cledge, the man of the many laps. Next up, it's Kane Lasky talking to Johan van der Belt.
Yeah, talking about fours, Kane Lasky, fourth place today. Looking at your results this season, I see P12, I see P5, I now see P4. You're getting closer and closer to the podium.
Yeah, it's been a little bit better each week. And the Donington result really wasn't accurate. I think I was in fourth or fifth position, and I blew my engine on the last lap and still managed to get 12th because of the high attrition. But I'm still a little bit behind this week. Driving at the limit was difficult, and to do that for 17 laps here with a lot of the corners being tricky, that made a difference at the end.
The one thing we saw today during the race was, especially in the battle between you and Ove, that it almost seems to breathe. The gap was big and small, big and small. What really caused that? Was it just difficult to be consistent and to really stay close to the car in front?
Hello?
Actually, today was due to the fact that our car setup made us faster in different sectors of the track. So I was quite quick in the first sector, and he was pretty good in the last sector, except for the chicane. And, also it's not really that easy to drive really close to somebody here. So sometimes you might have a little bit more of a gap, because if the driver ahead does something, just a little small thing, you don't have much time to react. There's not a lot of grip. You don't really want to unload the car.
You managed to bring it home in P4 in the end. I hope that you're satisfied with that. But I want to go to next week. We already talked about it with Mick Claridge. Next time it's Silverstone. How confident are you in that track? Are you hoping that there you are able to get buy over train rate and get a podium?
Looking forward to next week. I like the track has a little bit more flow, so it's about setting up your car to carry speed. And where this track here was just a little bit different. And I think the last few weeks it's been about not having the car set up done enough to do any qualifying practice and not getting good qualifying. I had really good pace in all the races, but when you're back there and these last two tracks, it was very difficult to make a pass. So sometimes you lose your position that you might have if you were up there. So hopefully next week I'll get a good setup and a good quali and be able to try to fight more at the front.
Very good. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Thank you for talking with us, Kane, and I hope to see you next week.
Have a great day, guys. Ciao.
That's Kane Lasky coming home today here at Suzuka in P4.
Yeah, and seems like that's everybody that wanted to talk to us here today. So probably a lot of these guys just have way too many questions setup-wise after once again getting beaten out by Mick Cledge. So as always, GSRC would like to thank the iRacing Esports Network for having us on the talent lineup to bring you the greatest shows from iRacing into your home. On top of that, we'd like to thank you for everyone on the track today for a great turn, especially the Lotus 49 community, for contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Right now on your screen, you can see all of the companies that provide us with their great hard and software GSRC uses to deliver you the best possible show. Additional thanks goes to June Lalonde, who provides us with her great masterpieces. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, please visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on the social media platforms, Twitter with @GSRChannel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, on Instagram at GSRC_travel. All of the upcoming races for our other series are now sliding across your screen, so check them out and mark them down on your calendar to not miss another second of exciting racing action. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Sean, Johan, and Dougie, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in as Mick the Rich College took away the victory here in virtual Suzuka. With that said, until next time, sirs, and sayonara! And as always, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.